Okay, mic check. Hi, Israel.
Hey,
How you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Welcome to our space. It's the Power Space, and it's a podcast space. So, Power Space podcast. And yeah, we are privileged to have you. So, for the sake of our listeners and our viewers, do you mind introducing yourself? Say your name, where you come from. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. One, I'm also very excited to be here. And my name is Israel Odeajo. I'm from Nigeria, Ibadan precisely. And again, I'm so happy to be on this with you.
Okay, nice one. So, Israel, I was going across your profile, both on social media and other repositories, i.e., GitHub, and you have quite a professional, let's say, title, because you're into data science, you're into AI engineering, you're into machine learning, and many more. But before that, you grew up in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
So, what was your childhood like for you in Nigeria? And the reason I'm asking you this is, were there early signs for you from maybe a tender age that you saw likely you are most likely going into this field of technology and problem solving in your life?
Yeah. So thanks for asking that. Yeah. So like I mentioned, I grew up in Ibadan. Ibadan is one of the oldest city in Africa, and been in Ibadan, and of course, I mean, if you do research and you check places like Bere, places like say you check in spaces like Agaragudu. I mean, these are like interior of Ibadan. So growing up there was a whole lot. But the part that finding vision growing up was something for me. It was not easy growing up because one of the things we have been known for in that environment is violence. If they are not fighting, they are doing stops and all of that. At a younger age, people get pregnant. People are already starting families at low as 15 years. But I mean, yeah, being there was something growing up, and of course, it also helped to change the way I see things. And I think it's at that point I'm going to say a big shout out to the YMCA because at that point I begin to know the YMCA through my church. So I've been in the YMCA as close since I was about 12 years. And of course, the date. So knowing the YMCA that early made it a bit easier. So instead of being at home or doing stops, I'll possibly be in church or either be in one YMCA program. Either I've traveled to either Lagos or other northern part of Nigeria through the YMCA activity. So that was growing up for me, all right. And but the YMCA played a very core, even despite where I came from. But I already knew the YMCA very early, and the YMCA made me not really join what was happening in my locality.
Okay, nice one. So, how did you? I would like to maybe know what was the point that you saw that you saw felt now I need to go into this technology field to do problem solving?
Okay, good. So growing up also, joining the YMCA was also something that was always pushing us to think outside the box. Even at those very, very tender age, they had mentors who were really doing very well in other things. Yeah, growing up, I wanted to really be a doctor, a medical doctor. That was always what I want.
Okay.
I noticed one, I seems to be very emotional, certain things, and I don't think that's something that is going to be easy for a doctor. And two, I don't like seeing blood. Right, just a bit. I get there's a way that turns me off kind of. So I tell myself, okay, so I wanted to solve a problem right through people's life, right? Then what other way do I think I could then challenge that energy? So growing up at that small age, I am very curious about a whole lot. Right, I've told you where I grew up from, and one of the things that is running my head is how do I do better in life?
Yeah.
Possibly leave this area. Possibly, just move out. So the next thing I met, at that point was exposure to the internet. Right. So I see what guys are doing on the internet. So I started from, for example, I started learning about web development. That was like my first shot. Right. So I started that.
At what age roughly?
Yeah, that would be around my
18s.
16, 17.
At your late
yeah,
teenage.
very, exactly, very 18, like that kind of route.
Okay.
Was
Yeah,
when
young adult kind of transitioning
exactly,
into a young adult.
Yeah.
Nice.
So so that was the first expression I had. So I then went for a computer school where I learned about the basic of computing. Right. Then I moved higher. I did a diploma. Right, in computer software engineering for 2 years. So that was really like the breakthrough for me. But the good part was I wasn't doing a whole lot to say I want to try this, I want to try this. I was very clean because I used myself to really mirror what I wanted. Since I couldn't do the medical thing that was like a like what I wanted. So I was very quick when I pick up a phone. I'm already taking everything you can think of. And, finding other things. So at some point I felt okay. There were guys who are building these things. So why not also try to try building something? It won't be the end, right? So that was how I started. I did so when I did computer software engineering. So it introduced me to programming. Right. At that point I was learning Java. I was learning PHP, C++. So that institute was a whole lot, right? It introduced us to a lot. PHP, anything you could think of, right? Then we are doing front end too. We're doing back end. We are doing web development with WordPress and all of that at those stage. And of course, one of the things I also like to share is that it's not as if it's that very easy. Trust me, it was a whole lot learning this.
It's
right?
hard.
At some
Coding
point,
is hard.
at some point, I felt, is this thing for me? Right? Is there no other things I really could go and do with my life? At times I'm writing code, there are bugs, I don't even know what the responses are. Of course, they are not in the days of all these AI tools.
They are not
they are in
cloud
the days
ChatGPT.
of they are in the days of Stack Overflow. Whereby you need to read every single line and think of the one that matches what you're doing.
You have to look for a chat somewhere who had a similar problem like yours.
So if it doesn't work, you find difficult to find the answer. You're possible on GitHub just searching until you find something that looks like it. And that, of course, not just that looks like it, that actually worked either with your own Windows or with your own OS. It has to be specifically for you. Right? So that was the growing up. Even at some point, even in the learning, there were times when I was also more like, maybe I should just learn WordPress. That doesn't need so much code. It's just drag and drop, on it. Someone at some point gave me a project. At that point it was just a front end thing and back end thing. Right? He asked me to just do a login and a sign up. Imagine I signed up about 30 minutes. That was easier because I was just to push somewhere. But logging in was taking me almost hours. Took me almost a day just to use username and password. It was that really very difficult at that time. But the good part is, the resilience to say this is something you really want to do, and that has kept me going. So when I finished that, I did my first degree in computer science. Of course, that gave me more platform. University of Ibadan. And of course, at some point, I moved to Benin Republic to complete my studies. And presently, I'm also doing completing my masters in financial engineering. Right, but of course, at those point too, I was also making sure that I also build with the community. So YMCA was a community for do things to impact your community. So I also had other communities in Ibadan, Lagos, where I attend conferences, where we go for trainings, we buy courses, and of course we're also learning more technical things. But Ibadan for me was like a landmark to many of the successes that I've recorded across board. So that was how I transitioned from being one to be a medical doctor to
the tech world.
And of course over the years, and because the tech also evolves, alright, that was why it was easier to move from being a web developer, a software developer. Then I said, okay, what else is in this thing? So like I told you, I'm always very curious. So what was at that point, sometimes in 2017, 2018, I was hearing AI. And that was as far as I'll be hearing. So I've been in the AI space as close as that. Because that was when
almost a decade now.
Exactly. So we've been hearing about that. Then we had to start from analysis. They told us data was driving all of these things. So the first thing to learn at that point was data analysis. Right? How do we analyze data with Excel, with all of those other tools? Then because I already have a background in programming, so it was easy to say, okay, which programming language can do this thing much better. So that was how my transition from a medical doctor now to an AI engineer.
Okay, nice one. Such a awesome journey. So to summarize all that into one sentence, someone comes and asks you, because for me, I've flowed really well with all the terms that we've been using. Someone is here in Java, the only Java he or she knows is the cafe that sells coffee.
True.
So someone encountering your profile or encountering you for the first time, how do you describe who Israel is in, let's say, a sentence or two or three?
Yeah, so Israel is a young person who is trying to use technology to drive change. So that's primary. So I do what we can call, I do data stuffs. Of course, saying data stuff won't be data bundles, right?
Yeah.
It should mean that I do, help businesses to take data-driven decisions, help to build models that can predict the likelihood of how your business is to do so. That's basically what I'm doing. I'm showing workings, with data as my evidence. Yeah.
Okay, nice one. So, if I'm not wrong with the information that I got from your profile, you currently work as an AI engineer at Junior Momentum in the UK, while still being based in Lagos, right?
Yeah.
So, what does that setup actually look like day to day, and what has it taught you about global careers and global careers being accessible from Africa? Like, yeah, we are in Africa, but the global careers are still accessible to us.
Okay, so that also explains the part that we are in the global world, right? And that means that from the comfort of our homes, if as young people we start building, necessary skills, we'll be able to also explore, global opportunities. Working at Joint Momentum or working at Lobby AI in the US, or presently now that I work as an AI engineer in Turin International. So what that simply means is, if you have this quality of skill, that is needed, from the comfort of your room, all right, you can work anywhere. You are connected with the internet, so all you just need to do is to have a setup. Right? That's why many people say remote work. And what that simply means is that you have an environment where you have your laptop, but like an office in your own. All right, so that's primarily what it looks like, right? To be able to work remotely. And of course, as Africans, we are not limited in access to all of these things. All we just need to start doing is to start building global skills that will make us to compete at that level. And I think it's available for anyone, whether you're in Somalia, you're in Kenya, you are in, Ghana. Talk about it. It's something very possible.
Okay, nice one. Speaking of possibilities, we've been in this AI, let's say specifically the AI world, for almost now a decade, and for more than a decade we've been in the tech world. So talk to us briefly about the African tech ecosystem. Hopefully I'm clear, and what has changed in the recent years, and still what's need to shift, because as you had mentioned earlier, you said something to do with as AI was the initial developments phases of it. People started with data analytics, then after you get the data, there's now the machine learning and the training of the machines. So tell us about the African ecosystem from your perspective, because you've been in that field from an African, let's say, direct perspective, and what has changed in the recent years, and what do you still think needs to shift for us as Africa?
So I think one of the things is that African before now used to be very far from all of these possibilities. We never saw that AI is our thing. Everybody was just doing their thing. Everybody do not believe, African generally do not even believe that AI has come and all of that. But I think of recent after COVID, when everything changed. So COVID was more like a first comer, right? To run up to show us that this is the world we are entering into. So when COVID came, of course, before COVID, there have been a lot. We've had conversation about African voice of AI and all of that. But after COVID, it's more like a complete transition into technology, right? So then after COVID, we now begin to even see the possibility of AI. But the key thing in all of this conversation, before now, we don't used to have AI policies in countries, right? And I think governance is what makes AI work, because the core of AI is artificial intelligence, is data. So data from how things happen in our cities, how things happen in our organization. We will use that to take, that data-driven decisions. But for us to successfully do that, we need them to learn the technicalities around it. Now you see a number of ops in our cities, before now, it's maybe online alone you see those things. But now, as countries, we are growing. We now have technical hubs, innovation hubs, where people can come and learn technical skills.
Yeah.
Where people can come and build stuff, startups, and all of that, which is something Africa is now embracing. Then we've also moved to the part of our language.
Yeah.
Before now, we have an adoption of global languages like English, French, and all of that. But right now, you see people speaking Swahili, some AI solutions speaking Swahili, speaking, my own local language, Yoruba, speaking all that you can think of, right?
Yeah.
So that is where we are now as Africa. We now started, collating African data, and which is one of the biggest, win for us right now. That we are thinking about AI for ourselves, right? And that's one of the things I'm advocating for. That as much as we want to leverage on all of this AI that we see from ChatGPT to Gemini and all of that, are they speaking my local language? What if I don't understand the global language, which is like English? So what will happen for me as a user, right? So, and that is where African is right now. We are building data centers, and of course the big guys like the Microsoft, the Google are also establishing data centers in a lot of our cities. It shows that they are also more like investing in Africa, which is like where we are. So that's what we used to be before. We were never concerned, right? But now we are all seeing the possibility of AI from a global world. But now we are not trying to like bring it back home to our different countries, into our different cities. So that's where Africa. So I think Africa is really, really more into what AI is doing. But of course, at the moment, by research, we're only just contributing about 1%, to the possibility of AI right now. So which means that we still have a whole lot to do. But then we are awake of the possibility, and we are about to, take responsibility.
Yeah, it's like we have a whole blank canvas for ourselves.
Definitely.
Awesome. So, what are in your career journey so far, what has been the hardest moment? Apart from when you started the coding thing and you saw, hey, my God, this thing is too hard. Will I be able to make through it? So apart from that, of course, everyone who has done code, there's that moment because it's like a whole new language you are learning, and your mind is like, oh God, this thing is so hard. Will I be able to crack it? So once you now cracked it and you got now deep into the tech AI world, can you maybe remember or know of a moment that was really hard in your career life, and it almost, if it did not make you, it almost made you question the path that you are on?
Okay, yeah, so I'm going to share this. I'm not sure I've said it before in the conversation. I used to start like, as a primary school teacher. Right, about a lot of years ago, right? And I was earning something as low as 5,000. That's a very, very minimal, at Nigerian level. But I told myself, because at that point I actually have the skill set, even as a web. I'm just trying to start from that part, right? So I told myself there is more, right, in all of this.
Yeah.
So I left that space. I went to another space, and I was earning like 25,000 naira. It was still very small, but where I was earning 5,000, I was teaching like 40 students. Imagine. So I left that space, I moved to another space. At that point, I have the technical knowledge, but I told myself at that point I was being paid like 25,000, and I was teaching 4 students. That is, you can see how growth is, and that is one of the things that helped me to know, what growth looks like for me. Of course, I left that place. I was still working there. Then I made a bid for an organization that I want to build their website, and they accepted. I mean, it was more than say an increment of about 100%, over what I was earning. So that shows that okay, there are possibilities with technology, and that was something for me. So moving out from there, then when I came into the data and the AI space, the most difficult part of this thing is getting your first role. All right, because I know a lot of people are watching at home and they are learning these skills because they now know that it's AI. They are learning the skills. They are learning Python. They are learning R. They are learning Tableau. They are learning Excel.
Yeah.
And they are saying, "Hey boy, I've been learning this thing for 3 months.
Yeah.
I've been learning this thing for 6 months. No job, no money, nothing." I've also been there, but I think at that point I saw that as more like an investment time, more than seen as a way to give up, because for me I have not had opportunity to try many other things. when the medical thing didn't work, the only option I had was technology. So even if it was not even working, it was still going to be technology I'm going to really like fall back to. So that was one of the things that, so I didn't have any other option. I was just exploring maybe other things within the tech space. Then finally for me, I was not leveraging on community. I think my growth in my career was more of a community thing, because there are a number of communities around us, tech-related communities, where you can volunteer. Because the number of jobs I've gotten, even all of these things you're saying, is just somebody saying, hey, I have a guy in the community, he's doing well. Can you guys get him on your project? Can you guys engage him? I want to recommend him on the project. So, so that was what the growth looks like. Of course, there were times when nothing was happening, but at that point, all I was doing was volunteering, to speak in events, volunteering to work on projects, nothing will come, volunteering with other team members to do like an hackathon, that was what was happening. And of course, within that same space, within a few years, things just started changing. People are able to recommend at a national level, at subnational level, even at a global level, right? So that was how my transition is. And of course, the message for everyone who is doing this is don't just give up. Tech is the real thing. Keep at it. Volunteer, engage your community. There are a lot. And of course, these big guys, because that's part of the responsibility that they have, every country to like domicile this. You have Google community everywhere. You have Microsoft community everywhere. So this community are much available almost everywhere. So I think everybody should explore them.
Okay, nice one. So let us go back a little bit into MCM. You joined MCA even before you were a teenager at 12.
Yeah.
So how's your journey been like? And throughout your journey, how did you get to be a subject? How did you get into the S2C, subject to citizen program?
Yeah, so YMCA is one of the organization I'm glad I joined early, because a number of people came when they were already made, when they were already doing well, maybe in their careers and all of that. But for someone like me, I joined back when I was in secondary school, right? And I've enjoyed mentoring. I've enjoyed platforms in the YMCA, because the YMCA helps you to, it empowers young people, for Africa Renaissance and all of that. So joining YMCA was a whole lot for me. I mean, I was excited about it, because the YMCA, the YMCA is known for activities, for programs, for camps. So I know at least once or twice in a month I won't be at home. Like I told you, where I grew up from. So the YMCA was the only thing that was taking me all around. So the real exposure I really got, even before all of this that I do, major of this came from the YMCA. So I owe most of it to the exposure I got from the YMCA. YMCA was the one who took me across almost all, the states in my country. Practically, I've been in almost all the states in my country through the YMCA. All right. Even with the YMCA, I've gotten global, opportunity. Apart from the tech that I do, YMCA has also given me the exposure to travel, to certain countries too. So growing up, I mean, we had a lot of amazing people, from YMCA of Ibadan, where I'm localized, down to the YMCA of Nigeria, and down to, YMCA of Lagos, what we call like the Western Zone, all right? And I think the YMCA also gives room for leadership, and I think that is where it started too. After a couple of years joining, I grew from being, a young person in my own unit church. I served in some capacity. I went into the Ibadan branch, I served in some capacity. I came into the Western Zone branch, I served in some capacity. I also came to the national level, I served in some capacity. Of course, it's always from like your own branch, all right? So it's your activity in your own branch that determines your ability to serve in the S2C ambassador role or a change agent, what change agent. I remember that particular year, I just came into office as a youth president in YMCA Ibadan. And, we used to have this World Challenge thing, all right, that we do on every 6th of June.
You used to have the?
Yeah, we used to have the World Challenge, program. So I was president, and I thought this is going to be the first time we're going to have it. So we have to give our best. And I think it was really not about the price. It was not really about, but it was about the fact that we are able to localize a global event. That was it for me. That we are bringing a program from the world level and we are localizing it here. And of course, it's impacting the community. So that year, we were able to, we went to some very interior part of Ibadan. We donated some mosquito net because we know mosquito water issues, climate issues around those places. We distributed them. Then we also brought some water. We know they had issue with water, at least a water that could serve like a 1 or 2 months. We donated it there. We documented it, and we sent it to the World YMCA. And we are so excited that that project was the best in that particular year. And of course, for me, that was a rider, because that was the intention really. So when the call for Change Agent came out, these are some of the success stories that we mentioned. And I remembered, I got a call even from the African Alliance and said, "Oh, we saw this from your application. Can you tell us more about it?" I said, "Yeah, we did this, and it was successful." So that was how I applied, with the support of my local YMCA national movement. Shout out to them, because for us in Nigeria, we have a lot of amazing young people.
Yeah.
And we are all very, very qualified for all of these things. Trust me.
Yeah, you are very, very blunt.
So, and of course, we have it. And of course, many of us joined the YMCA very young. So we were still there, even as I speak. We are still, in the system till like date, right? So that was, the thing for us. So then when we were given the privilege to then serve at that level, of course, even the project we need to carry out, we were doing it because it was not for the position. It was more for, we just want to contribute our own quota, as young people, and have impact in our society, have impact in other young people that even want to come back to the YMCA. And of course, with that, we have a number of people who have joined the YMCA through our little efforts, and now the YMCA is doing very well. So being an STD ambassador for me was amazing, because I am privileged to be like the first from my own local Y. And of course, after my, I've also had another person who was also privileged, but at least that kind of exposure that we got from the YMCA, bringing a national program, a world program into our
local,
space, was just like a great milestone for us.
Awesome, nice one. I like that. So, from this to say, you went to be World YMCA Change Agent. So, what is a change agent to someone who's hearing it for the first time? And in your own words, what does that title like ask of you as a change agent?
Yeah, so even as the STD ambassador, it's a program from the African Alliance here. All right, and of course, it's for young people who are doing very well in leadership and impact in their local YMCAs. Of course, a number of people are doing well. Of course, it has to be a representative of your country at that particular cohort. Then the change agent simply means that from African Alliance, most times you will then go through rigorous trainings, activity projects. Then if you do very well as expected, then you will then move, from the African Alliance recommendation into the World Change Agent program. So, the World Change Agent program, at that point, you are representing Africa, right? So, people are also coming from other, other continents that you are possibly there together, right? So, the responsibility with that is you are now an image of course, your nationality. At the African level
and the region,
and of the world level. So of course you become like a contact person too, that they tell, because the African Alliance has a lot of projects, the World Alliance has a lot of projects. So you will be like a person who is expected to like drive that at your time as being a change agent or a African Alliance person in your own locality. So you are more like the face of your nationality. So if you're not doing well, they report activity to your national movement. If you're doing good, of course, they will also give the kudos that a nationality brought in a very resourceful person, because trust me, it's a whole lot in 1 year. During my own time, it was the COVID time, so we had time to do a whole lot because everybody was at home. So we had so many activity. I remember we do the cookbook. We did a lot of projects. At that time I had to travel from Ibadan to Nasarawa, so it was really a very free time. We did a lot of online events, because everybody was at home, right? So
you had the time.
Of course, imagine we had to now sit down as change agent to then come up with the syllabus, because we now say everybody has time. So even all of us had to like contribute into that. So that is the way the change agent program works. You're supposed to take initiative even at your national level, because you go through a lot of trainings, you get a lot of exposure at the African Alliance level, at the World Alliance level. So you are supposed to take that back. So it's more of a train-the-trainer thing. They are training you at the world level, they are training you at the African Alliance level. Then you go back home to train at your your own national movement or your own local branch. So that is the responsibility.
Okay, nice one. So from your standing, if I can position it well, there are two things. There's you there's the identity of you as a tech professional. There's also another identity of you as let's say as a leader in the YMCA movement. So has your identity as a tech professional shaped the way you show up in youth movement spaces, especially the YMCA? And has the movement also shaped how you think about tech?
Yeah, definitely. That YMCA has done a whole lot around that. Because one of the things, being a tech person and a curious person is always thinking, for example, how do we bring tech into the YMCA? I remember back in those days, and I started from my local Y. I was part of the team who actually worked on our website, right? Back in those days. Also, presently, I'm also part of the team managing that of my national movement, because I'm a tech person. So most of the time, I'm always part of that team, right? Because of the background that I have. Then even when I was serving either as chairman or student agent, so I was doing more programs too that were tech related. So I was training young people in tech skills, right? If we go to any of our conferences, I speak, I take trainees on tech, because that's like my own specialty. So most of the time, so almost every year, I play a role in the YMCA to train young people in our conferences, speaking to them, mentoring them, because at some point we had Vision 2030, which remote job was part of what was in right, change of job, meaningful work, right, and tech was. So at most time, that is the place I stand in most of our events. All right, I've also been privileged at national level to train even our staffs on how to do technical things in the national movement, right. So that is always how I give back to the the YMCA, both and of course the YMCA to me will be that then how do I think about the process that we can then embrace technology in what we are doing. So that means in any event I attend, I make sure that there is a registration. We should have data. All right. So I advise, I'm able to play that role because I know that is where the YMCA should benefit from. Yeah. YMCA does a lot of projects, and it must be data driven. Yeah. All right. The role I play most of the time is to say, what role are you playing about data privacy? What role are you playing to even get this data? Because how do you do a project? So at any time I'm privileged to be in any of those projects, that would be the way I drive the YMCA. Because any decision you are taking that are not data driven, once there is no evidence, you're just doing it by assumption, by speculation, which is not good enough.
And that is the one that will show even the impact.
Yeah, exactly. So you won't be able to measure the impact. So if all of these things, we knew them those days when we used to be change agents, but not as deep now when we are now leveraging on AI or data as it were. But that is one of the ways the YMCA gives back. Yeah. Of course, we're also giving back from where we stand now in that profession.
Okay, such a good relationship, healthier than mine and my. Okay, let's not go there. So you've mentioned something really interesting about you training young people to do with tech skills. So I want to ask you a question. Okay, not a question really, but okay, I don't know if that tension is okay. It still is there. There's a tension for me between AI as an opportunity for African youth, and there's also AI as a threat to our jobs and agencies. So where do you sit between these tension?
Yeah, very correct. And I think the reason why we should voice the need for AI literacy is the part that certain things you will no longer be able to access if you don't have some level of AI knowledge. All right, so I think not everybody will need to code. So people will need to embrace AI in carrying on certain activity. Many years ago, if you are not a computer literate, there are certain jobs you can't get. Right? Yeah. So we're saying that we are coming to a stage, one, that without AI knowledge, imagine right now a young person who doesn't know what ChatGPT is, a young person who doesn't know what Gemini is, not even coding, but it's to be able to enhance what you do day by day. Yeah. So that is what we first discussing, because they will help your productivity. They will add speed to you for wherever you stand. You don't even have to be a tech person to use those things. And that's what we're saying AI for for global use or global impact, social impact, and all of that. All right. So that is the first thing we're talking about. Then as the world evolves, we were not saying AI this much 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But now AI has become, the everyday face.
A daily tool.
Right? That's the identity everywhere now. So we're saying what that is pushing towards as young people is to say you need to start learning AI related skills. All right. And you don't even have, it doesn't have to even be about coding. There are skills that you don't even need to code. All right. So that is what we are pushing ourselves into, to say young people that we have the energy, we have the strength, and of course we have the resilience to learn even when it is difficult and all of that. We should be learning something within the AI space. All right. There is a lot to learn. There are people who need to do policy.
Yeah.
You can start from there.
Yeah.
There are people who need to annotate the data, especially for our local languages. You know, a lot around it. So there are many. So all we just need to do as young people is let's do our research. And the question you're asking the Google is to say, what are the relevant skills I need to learn in this AI space or in this AI age, right? So that is where to start. Then, of course, if you want to go deeper, you want to be able to contribute more because you know AI is more from the user perspective and a developer perspective. All right, users, everybody generally you are users, but those who want to contribute more will come from developer. I want to build something.
Yeah.
Can we be the system that is able to respond to all local YMCAs in the world? All right, a system whereby we want to live at Africa Alliance. Once we go there, we get everything. We don't even need anybody to tell us anything.
Yeah.
All right. You know, those are some of the things we can make as simple as possible. The World conference is coming. All right. What can we build? You know, to make that conference easier for almost everyone who is attending. So you know, that's how we need to start thinking as a movement. We must integrate AI into all that we do. People want to, know if they need visa to go to some of those countries. Can we build an AI system that once they ask you, scroll out and say yes, you need. But this is now available within the YMCA space, not necessarily just going to the Google.
Yeah.
You know, those are that's what technology is trying to do. That we don't necessarily have to go to Google to make the search. From just one line, you get the exact answer. You know, when you go to Google, Google is saying, "Do you mean? Do you mean? Are you saying this?" But the AI has come to give you straightforward responses. So as young people, these are things we should be curious about, and of course, also want to build our skills in. But of course, the good part is you also be able to make good money.
Yeah, of course. And it's making work. I would say that you could build in 7 days. Now you can build it in 24 hours.
Exactly. So that's a lot of productivity, and you're saving time, and of course, you're managing things well.
And the money is coming. Very important. Okay, so this brings me to something a bit. Okay, I don't know if it's the situations we call quagmire, but AI is there and we have to use it. We can't ignore it. Then here comes now our education systems, which are grappling with AI, from things to do like plagiarism to how to adjust their curriculum to fit into now the AI era now that we are at the initial stages of it. So based on your work and observations, how should education respond to AI rather than react to it?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that from two perspectives. One, as you who is either the learner and the institution. So I think the first thing to continue to encourage our young people to know is that let's continue to be hardworking people. All right, it's very important. AI is an enabler. What that simply means, it makes, if you are good, it makes you very good. And if somebody seems to be very poor with AI, because you won't be smart enough to be able to live up with the result AI is giving you. But even if you are in the middle level in your academics with AI, it brings you back, to bounce to another level. I think that's the part we must. But a lot of people, I was still sharing a post today, even a ministry for that used AI to make a particular memo, and they did not edit it. And you begin to see, so this AI is trying to show you the tone, and they publish that. So a lot of people are becoming very lazy with the advent of AI. And what is going to happen to the academy is that we will now begin to lose quality. All right, we begin to lose quality, and that is going to be dangerous for us as Africans. We used to be known for the best, the giant in the world, and all of that, even across our countries. So I think that's the part. So for the educational space, so my advice basically for them is not going to, apparently, there is nothing you really also want to ask that AI will not have the capacity to answer. All we just need to do is that we should now begin to test people, because AI does not have emotions. AI does not have critical thinking. AI means context. So
AI just has the context.
Exactly. So AI needs everything to work. All right. It's just an empty box if you don't bring in data. All right. So if that is the situation of things, then what that is primarily saying is that you just continue to test people by critical. Begin to test people by how they reason. Because if you ask AI something right now, and it's just going to be from your context it's trying to learn from, right? So we need to now go back to in those days for us we call something quantitative reasoning. They are not too difficult, but if you don't know the patterns, you can't get the answers. So I think that is what we need to now start testing from our young people. We have left the level of saying what is something.
More of critical thinking.
All right, not asking them to describe something. AI will describe beyond your reasoning. All right. So, but we are going to say we are bringing case studies. We are bringing scenarios to people. Something that is critically you have to think about it through, because I've given you a scenario. And AI, like we've mentioned, is context. So if the context, if you have given you a context, if AI is not clear, it will just give you something. And don't forget, AI wants to be very smart.
And the AI also, the context at times gets lost.
Exactly. Can even go beyond what is not applicable to what you are saying. Why? Because it's not very clear. But it wants to give you a response because it's an intelligent being, right? So I think that is what the education to do. Let's start engaging our young people from critical thinking, from possible scenarios, and I think that is really a way we can even solve the problems in the world, right? Because they are going to be project driven, they are going to they are going to be survey driven. They are, that's what is not going to be what is, it's not going to be described or outlined. So I think that is what we need to shift in the way, because even at times AI can make you very smart. You don't know it before, ask AI, let it give you. Then now that you know, then put your own down. Or the little you know before, put it into the AI to modify it. So it should not be that we completely depend on it. It should amplify whatever we know to let us know better. Or you don't know at all, by what it gives you, you now know, then you can, it has to be, it's vice versa thing. You should not be a one, but now they give you an assignment, you just go to ChatGPT, you copy like that. It's asking you, do you mean I should change this? You still copy like that and dump it, to your lecturer. So I think those are the things that we, at both sides, either as users or as education system, we need to manage.
Okay, makes sense. So I've loved the part where you've mentioned about, you've talked about more of critical thinking, because lately now there have been more conversation emerging around now, not only are young people just consuming AI, but we are also building them. So not just building them, but also shaping them on how they are designed and how they are deployed to, i.e., focus on our needs. I can give you an example. There's I think there's an AI agent in Kenya that specializes with the Kenyan Constitution and the lawyers. So it's coming really in handy for the Kenyan lawyers. So just a quick question. Apart from the critical thinking, which is a very key factor in this, because you have to think critically for you to change this tool from just using it to you now developing and designing your own tool that will now solve problems for you. So how do you think we can get? How do we get there from not just consuming but to producing the tools?
So I think that most of the AI tools also gives room for you to use some of their agents for yours.
Because create agents.
Exactly. You can then create yours. So I think that is where we want to look at what local problem, what national problem, just like what you mentioned. I mean, in my experience, I built a lot of AI models, right? Which are things like this. Are built in the education space. Are built. So I think that is where we should start from. Let's find a problem, and of course, how do we find problems? Something people are struggling with, something that is consuming people's time, all right? That AI can do for you, and because AI majorly works with text. So most time, any problem that you think, for example, like what you mentioned, the Constitution, people find it difficult to possibly read it. So all the lawyer needs to possibly say is to say, oh, this also so article and section, can you explain to me as a baby, right? So what we should start doing on top of AI is that we need to now start making AI friendly in our environment. AI has been trained with global data, all right? We then now need to, like I've mentioned the other time, we now need to start making our data available for AI to learn about us. And of course, there are a lot of technology that drives that. But the key thing is, let's find a problem across our industries that we want AI to solve. So that we are not just consuming only what is available, we're also training AI. And like I said, one of the big things I'm really big on right now is about local languages. We need to start building AI systems. and these are some of the projects we can think of. Even if all that the YMCA or some of the organization can contribute is the data gathering thing, whether quantitative or qualitative, we need to start gathering local data and of course start feeding that, because there is no AI system that will do well if it's not in your local context.
Because the language it contributes a very big percentage to you giving it the context it requires.
So, and of course that also makes it accessible to a lot of people, because the issue of being educated is already out of it. But if AI still needs to be for the educated ones, then it's not humanic, because AI has to be human centric. And that's so the whole thought of this is that we need to start consuming AI from the part that we can use it for our project. And of course there are a lot of all of these AI tools that even allows you to like build something within their interfaces.
Cloud I know of it.
Exactly.
You can create many
even with
agents
Gemini, with ChatGPT agents, you can create your own agent from it without even writing any code. It's just supplying certain information and in a few hours you are all with your solution.
Okay, nice one. So let's bring me to something. Do you know about HyperY?
Okay.
Have you heard about HyperY?
HyperY?
Yeah, it's an AI that the YMCA, the global YMCA, has been trying to build.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, it's a youth-led effort to use AI to power youth development programs. But anyway, if you've not heard of it, the question would make a lot of context. So okay. So as we are nearing the end, Africa is home to one of the largest youth population, or just the biggest youngest population in the world. So in your view, is that a built-in advantage for us in the AI era, or is it only an advantage if we get things right? And if we get things right, what are these things that we should get right?
Okay, I mean, you already answered the question gradually. So, I mean, it's really an advantage when we get things right. And of course, for us to get things right in the AI era, the first thing is good governance. All right, so it has to start with policies, because you cannot really build any AI because there must be what we call adoption. Who wants to use it? Who is authorizing it to happen? No matter how much it is. So that is the first thing. And of course, and like thankfully, a lot of the African, leaders are beginning to key into that. And I know at least for Kenya, we know that you've passed yours. I know about AI governance in Nigeria, and a lot of other countries like Ghana and all of that.
The interest is
gaining
up.
And of course, many other African countries are joining. So if we have good governance, we have good policies around it, right? When the policy makers are up to it, then we come back to, because when we have good policy, we get access to data. Because it takes a lot, and the truth is, and I mean, one of the things that we say, data is everywhere, data is available, but the problem is the access to the data. And not just access to the data, access to quality data. Because you can have a data that is not saying anything, that is not speaking anything to anything you want to do. So quality data, and of course, they are everywhere, but you need to pass through certain agencies before you can get there. But if we have the right law, that enables them to give you a certain level of, trust, we'll be able to build, because how powerful our AIs are is as powerful as data that is available. So the challenge most time in most African countries is that we don't have access to this quality data. So even who wants to build, all right, we don't have access to this quality data. So, but if we do, that's how we can get it right. We need to start talking about the power of data. That every country takes decision based on data, not based on assumption or political whatever. Right? So those are some of the ways we can, start, getting things right. So if we do that, then we'll be able to build AI in our local context, because it's not being fed with our own quality data.
Because with more data, more patterns start emerging, and the trainings even get.
And of course, it's going to also be able to build it in a personalized way, because it's not going to be giving you references to that country, because you have already exposed your data, of course, with privacy in mind, with certain things in mind, which AI needs to. Of course, there are a lot of technicality that goes into that. At least, and obviously, you will have the technical people on the team, at every country level, right? So a number of agencies, that drive some of these things across our nations.
Yeah.
Then we also then get to the stage whereby, of course, a lot of countries are doing it. Then we need to start training people in some of these things, because it takes training to be able. Of course, even AI itself needs to be trained.
Yeah.
So before we can train people, then we need experts who has been trained in certain skills to do that. So you can see there is a lot that we need to get right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For us, at least at the end, we'll be able to have AI adoption very easy in our countries.
Nice one. So you've mentioned something to do with governance. So if a genie just appears, the genie that, I don't know, it's a jar that there's that kind of animation where they rub, then the genie comes, gives you 3 wishes. So now you just get 1 wish. So what one policy will do influence around AI and youth, maybe from a national Nigerian level, continental level?
Yes, I think, for what I know, one of the things I'm going to be pushing for is open data. Right? So, because there are certain data that you are even supposed to have it naturally, but because a lot of they are politicalizing data now too, instead of making it so, I think we need to drive an open governance to open data. We need to start making our data open source.
Yeah.
But the government has to, because it's our data. All right. It's what is happening around us that is generating that data. It's our day to day that is making that data available. So why should my activity that is supposed to produce data, then it's just that I am not taking record of it. It's the same thing. I can start to be taking record of, for example, imagine, if you're in a space, okay, maybe you're using a paid meter, you want to know how much you're consuming every day. You also need to pick a book and start writing. So what is in data is what is happening around us every day. The only thing is that you have built a system, that collates that data, either, in Word, either in the tabular form, either from the space, either from maps and all of that. You are daily, per hour, per minute, having a system that collates it somewhere for me. That's what it's supposed to be. So we should be able, so that I think that's one of the things that we need to really push, because there are a lot of intelligent young people everywhere, but most time, even for the ones who are learning, they will go on certain foreign platforms to get data just to practice. All right. A lot of platforms like that you can go and get data, but you will see that you are getting not an African data. You are getting a data from Europe, from Germany, which does not have a direct impact. You cannot, of course, that is good for learning, but you cannot use that to say you have built anything. Why? Because it does not solve your present
African
needs, African your national needs. So, which is something that is very important, as we learn too. So if we have data, at least if you have been working with data at that level, you'll be also be able to contribute at the national level, because you also have seen it. A lot of countries are having election. You find it difficult to even get data to the last election. There is no open space. You have to. Will I not go to each local government or each district? That would be. But they have it. It's not really.
And you really have to work hard to still get that data from.
Those are things that is meant to, because it makes life easy. Even right now, people can check, okay, what was the pattern of what happened at the last election, but it's not there. So, these are some of the things. So, that one wish would be that we have open data, open governance, as far as AI is concerned.
Yeah, that's a nice policy. So, currently you sit, from a perspective, you sit at a really rare intersection where we can say, let us give you your flowers while you're still alive. You can say you are a world-class technologist and also a youth movement leader at the same time. So what would you wish for each side to understand better about each other?
Okay, yeah. So each of the youth movements, we use our YMCA for example, is going to be that we need to know that we also must embrace it. As much as we're also advocating for certain other SDGs, we should also start advocating for the power of data, the power of AI. And I'm glad that as a national movement, even at the world level, we are it's part of our vision 2030. All right. But then we also not right now, which I know we are. I remember when we were in Mombasa, sometimes last year or 2 years ago. I know that we have a platform like that, right, where they broke down all of these visions. So about 2-3 days we were in a section on meaningful work. We had guys from Microsoft, we have guys from Google, we have which is the real thing. But we then also have to start collaborating again, so that in our national levels too, we are able to access some of these big guys to train our young people, to give them opportunities. Because that is where we need to be now. Because people, as we are saying some of these things, they are learning, but they need a platform for internship. They need a platform for entry job. So as national movement or youth-led organization, we also need to raise our voice to see that the government also creates more opportunity for young people, to show what they have learned, to show their skills, internship, open job. Also international. I know we do that a lot, even as YMCA, but we need to just intensify. It's our vision, because it's just not about having the vision; it's about the vision sees the daylight. We can see that there are young people that we have trained. That's the success stories, who are technically inclined, working using that skill set, and that is the meaningful work we're talking about. And of course, the good part should be that they are working from home. I mean, that's what the world is right now, right? So these are some of the things that I will keep personally to encourage our local movement to do, so that also our organizations will be more relevant. Because we've left the time, of course, apart from that, we are in the world level. Many of our meetings are on Zooms. They are, before it has to be that everybody has to come physically to a venue and all of that. So the same thing, as we are evolving with that, we also need to advocate more, as much as all the projects we are doing on youth justice, we need to do more also on the, more like an integration of AI into our organizational system. And of course, we also make sure that at the national levels too, they begin to do that. So that's going to be my advocate at this very point.
Okay, nice one. So we almost know the end in 10 minutes. So to any African, the young African listening to you or watching you right now, and he or she feels like, hey, this world of AI and data science is too technical, maybe it's too expensive, maybe it's not for me, what would you say to them?
Okay, so I mean, if some of us are doing it as African young people, be sure that it's a pointer that you can also do it. I know that some of these things needs so much time to learn, so much time, because to understand, it's more like a learning another language. Imagine me coming to learn Swahili, for example. I would need a lot of patience, all right, to learn. So you're just learning another language from the computer, right? So it will take you time to learn it. And what we're really saying is that you don't necessarily even have to, be a developer or writing code. All we are saying is that ensure that you are integrating a part of AI into what you do. For example, let's say you're a teacher. What we are saying is be able to teach using these tools. Don't just stay to say, oh, I must be in the classroom, that's the only time I can teach. What will happen when they ask you to start working in the US company, in the US university, another company in Europe, to lecture people? You're very good at it, but they are saying, and you say, oh, I don't know what Zoom looks like. I don't know what Google looks like, right? So those are that is the first part. Then the next part will not be, then can I integrate, because the world is evolving, can I be able to do whatever I know primarily? Can I then bring that into AI? Take for example, maybe you like to write, right? You are very good at writing. You are a content writer, very beautiful. We are saying, can you now start writing technical content? Because just a content writer, that is what everybody is doing. But can you write about technical content to say, okay, how to learn programming, all right? How to use ChatGPT? That's what we are saying. With that, you are shifting roles. And you are shifting to roles that will be more useful. All right. We will always need technical people. For every AI solution, there is what we call documentation. Somebody needs to write it. And it has to be technically written, step by step, how to do this. So if you can write, we are saying that then start writing things like that. If you can speak, we are saying start teaching tech. Start teaching people how to use Microsoft Word. Start teaching people how to, that's what we are really saying. So that's where it starts. Then the same thing, okay, if you are coding before, then start writing programs that are AI related right now. Those days when we were starting, there are languages that you hear Kobo, you have Fortran, but of course they won't be as relevant as what they are now. because I know a lot of software engineers who are also moving, because I mean, like I mentioned, I started as a software engineer. I've now moved, into doing AI, doing data science and ML. All right. So it's the same thing. So we're saying then, of course, because we're also young people, so there are no limitation to their ability for us to also learn. So don't say, and of course, the good part about AI, it doesn't really matter your background. And that's why I love AI so much, and that's why I will always be an advocate for it. Even if I have trained people who have a background in medicine, I've trained people who are baristas, who are doing AI now. I have a lot of my mentees, who have environmental background, law, and all of that.
Something
and
that's
now,
totally different from tech.
yeah, the only thing is that anytime they are building something related to their primary field, they are an expert that speaks on it. That's the only difference that it makes. But the beauty of being an AI expert or being a data expert is that you can work with any industry.
Yeah.
You can have worked. I'm not a barista. I've worked with the legal guys building solution. I've worked with health related solution, education, energy. All right. So that is the beauty, and that is why we are saying. So that is why it is always very easy to say you're working all those global jobs. Why? Because as far as you can work in the industry, I work more in the fintech. Right? Where I work right now, what we do is we help most of the big guys to build super intelligent AI systems. So it doesn't have anything to do. Oh, I have a background in this. Thank God you have that background.
Yeah.
It's going to be useful when we are building a project with.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, it's going to help you to build good skill set as a person. Then whatever you've studied is going to be a leverage, because I know that when we are building AI solution, we need input from experts. If I'm building health related solutions, I'm going to need doctors.
Yeah.
I'm even going to need specialists. So that's where you come in. All right. But imagine that I'm a doctor. I have doctors, who are doing AI, who are also building. But it's easier for them to build. Why? Because they are medical doctors. They know those things. They're just trying to use their knowledge to now train the AI to learn like them, to become a doctor too. That's like what it is. So for a young person listening, don't be discouraged. Just keep learning. All right. And of course, find the right mentor. All right. Find the right community. All right, find the right people that you can speak to. And of course, your YMCA can also be a leverage, because we have all of these experts everywhere in the world, right? So of course, you can also reach out, even on these systems that you are listening to. I mean, there are guys who can also, pick these up, guide you. That's why we are in a community.
Yeah. Nice one. So you have all the certifications, a global career and movement credentials. But if we stripped all that away, what is the thing that would say drives Israel at its core?
Okay, so I think the key thing driving me, I mean, just like what I said earlier, is more like making impacts. Right, with my very busy schedule, that's why when there is any call to volunteer, I'm always still finding real time, to contribute my quota. Because I know that one little effort can change somebody's story entirely. Right? That one little advice, that one little parking at the back and say, well done, can keep someone going. I was chatting someone in the course of the day, and I say, well done, I see what you're doing. I didn't even know what the person is really doing at that point, but I mean, I've been seeing the effort. And she said, I needed this right now. In fact, this is a person from the other religion saying, thank you for saying this. Right? So that is what drives me basically. And the part that when we are able to say some of these things, people come and say, oh, thank you for the role that you played. Thank you for. So it wants me to do more, right? Because the little contribution, we are seeing the results. I've been with, I have people who have just entered into tech in 3-4 months, just a little guidance, and you see them come back in, 6 months, 1 year, and say, I've gotten a job. Like, wow. So how is this thing, how is this thing happening? I have a lot of those cases most of the time. So what is really driving me outside the, all of that is impact. And of course, like I said, YMCA has given this long ago. So it's easier to keep building on, that stuff. At this very time.
Awesome. So, a parting shot for us. What future are you working towards? Not just for your career, but as a leader, to the young people in this continent?
Okay, so I'm just going to say to my fellow young people that we should keep at whatever it is that we're doing, and let's know that whatever we're doing, there are possibilities in them. The only thing we are saying at this point is make sure that you're also leveling up. All right, keep getting better, keep going more as residents that we are for better opportunities, so that we can also be able to be part of people who are making those decisions. And I think that is what the YMCA pretty much like. It wants the young people to be drivers to all of these decisions. But it will be young people with quality, right? Young people who are very clear, not the ones who will be told what to do, right? So, and I think that's one thing I want to leave with us as young people. We are doing very well. We are amazing. Let's just keep at it. And I know at the end we will be able to say, I'm grateful I've done this for myself. Yeah.
Nice one. Thank you, Israel, for your time.
Thank you.
We've been here for an hour and 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a privilege. We've really learned a lot from you. You've really given us a lot of information, wisdom. We appreciate it. And yeah, before we leave, you are in Kenya. What has brought you to Kenya?
Yeah, so I came to specifically Nairobi, Kenya, for what we call Global Data Festival, and this is a program by Global Partnership for Sustainable Data, in partnership with the Ministry of Kenya, right? Yes, basically statistics. And what we are primarily doing
With
is
the
that,
Ministry of Statistics.
yes,
Okay.
all right. So what we're primarily doing is that we are bringing everybody across the world who are data experts, all right, into one room. And here we have policymakers, here we have the government. We have the privilege to receive the Vice President of the Republic of Kenya with us, and of course all of the directors, or most of the country, governors were also in attendance across board. And the goal is pretty simple. We want to do more in the AI space, but then we need the contribution from everyone. So I was privileged to also be one of the speakers in one of the about 2 sections.
Okay,
all right.
nice one.
And my section 1 was on the solution I built for one of the ministries of health back in Nigeria, and the second one was also an AI model that I built for certain languages, in Africa too. So I had the privilege to showcase that on some of the platforms. But in general, I mean, being here has also given a leverage to make policymakers how do they think, because that's like one of the next steps we are entering into.
Yeah,
because policy is the new thing. We don't necessarily have to create new policies. Even the one that already exists, we just need to check them and be sure they are quality enough so that it can also have impact in our country. So that's why I've been here, and I've enjoyed all of my stay in Nairobi.
Yeah,
But it's a bit cold, I don't really too like cold, but at least I've enjoyed my stay. I've always here by Nairobi, and I'm glad.
Nairobi is good.
City, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And anytime you visit Nairobi or come to Kenya, make sure to visit us and visit us in our studio.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Adios.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so